Now, one of the common debates in college football is which college is wide receiver U. So we're going to be breaking down the top 5 universities for wide receivers to attend. Now, coming in at number 5, I would say the University of Florida. University of Florida, you got Brandon Marshall, you got Percy Harvin, Paul Spinelli, which is a little bit older school. I'm sure a lot of you guys watching this probably have never even heard of that guy. But there are a lot of guys older school that went to the University of Florida that played the wide receiver position. So that's personally why they are on my list. The next 4 on this list are a little bit more modern, but Florida has a great tradition of developing wide receivers and ultimately getting them ready for the next level, which is the NFL. Now, coming in at number 4 would be USC. So USC, especially within the last probably 5 to 6 years, has had a ton of wide receiver talent. They recruit a ton of wide receiver talent, especially now with Lincoln Riley being the coach there and the way he runs his offense, throwing the ball 40, 50 times a game. Wide receivers are going to want to go to the University of Southern California. You got guys like Zachariah Branch, you got guys like Mekhi Lemon, who are both 5-star recruits that went there the past year. But who are some of the guys that they have sent to the draft? So you have Drake London, plays for the Falcons. You obviously got Nelson Aguilar, which again, some people have their opinions about him, but again, it's another first-round pick, right? Or at least a guy that's playing in the league. I'm not actually sure if he's a first-round pick or not. But again, if you make it to the NFL, if you're even on a practice squad, you obviously have some talent and you're a very dominant wide receiver at the collegiate level. And then you got Keyshawn Johnson. You have Amon-Ra St. Brown, who just signed a huge contract, obviously from University of Southern California, grew up in Southern California. You got Robert Woods, Michael Pittman Jr., and you could throw in Jordan Addison, who transferred from Pitt to USC because of that style of offense Lincoln Riley is running. So I feel like USC is probably an up-and-comer within maybe the next 10 years. That could be the pinnacle wide receiver U school over these next 3 schools we're going to list. Now, before we get into the top 3 universities for wide receivers, fellas, if you are a receiver watching this and you would like a daily workout schedule that you could follow in the offseason, check out that very first link in the description below for our Ultimate Elite Wide Receiver Training Package. What you'll get access to is 8 weeks of daily on-field and gym workouts that wide receivers could do. We break down all the route running drills, press release drills, catching drills you should do. We give you the exact sets and reps, like Monday you're doing this workout, Tuesday you're doone this, and we give you video examples of each drill and examples of each gym exercise. Both of the plans work together, so you're not doing too much on one day. And we also include a 1-month-long speed development workout plan, because to be able to play receiver at the next level, you got to have some speed. So guys, if you're interested in our Elite Wide Receiver Training Package, check out that very first link in the description below. We'd love to get you on that. Let's get back to this video. Now, coming in at number 3 is going to be LSU. Anytime that I talk about states for football, anytime that I talk about places for football, everybody always talks about Louisiana. Now, LSU obviously has a great tradition of wide receiver talent that they've sent to the draft. You got Odell Beckham Jr., obviously everybody knows who that is. You got Jarvis Landry, Justin Jefferson, who's probably the best wide receiver in the league right now, and then probably a top 5 wide receiver in the league who also went to LSU, you guys probably saw this coming, is Jamar Chase. So I think till the end of time, LSU is always going to be a destination for wide receivers, especially the top wide receiver recruits in the country, all from that Louisiana South region of the country, because again, LSU has a great tradition of putting guys to the league. Now, coming in at number 2, and this school always recruits literally the top route runners. I feel if you are a high school player that has great route running film, you run explosive routes, you're in and out of your breaks fast, you're going to get recruited by Ohio State. Ohio State has some of the best wide receiver talent every single year. You got Marvin Harrison, you got Michael Thomas, you got Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, Ted Ginn Jr., just to name a few. But all the up-and-coming recruits that they get every single year, especially out of that South Florida region, that's where they like to recruit out of, it seems, because they get guys like Jeremiah Smith, Brandon Inniss, who are 2x 5-star recruits who are at their school currently. So guys, Ohio State, premier destination. I think what they do with their receiver development, especially when the receivers get to Ohio State and after they leave Ohio State, they have crisp route running, they know how to get in and out of breaks, and they run realistic routes. It's one of those things where, like, you know, you see all the fancy clips on Instagram, Twitter, all over the place, but when you look at an Ohio State wide receiver, some of his highlights, the way he runs routes, they're always realistic, game speed routes, and that's what you ultimately look for in a wide receiver when you're recruiting them at the next level. So Ohio State comes in at number 2 on our list. Now, coming in at number 1, this is my opinion, wide receiver U every single year, I feel, is Alabama. Now, Alabama's obviously positioned you in a lot of spots because they constantly send guys to the draft. Every single year they have some of the most people going to the draft, I should say. But with the receiver position, you got Julio Jones, Devontae Smith, Amari Cooper, Jalen Waddle, Calvin Ridley, Jamison Williams, all top route runners, all have a ton of speed, all have great ball skills, some of the top receivers on their respective teams. So guys, Alabama probably is coming in at number 1 wide receiver U. Many of these other schools have a ton of wide receiver talent. It'd be great. It'd be a great opportunity for anybody watching this to go to any one of those schools. But tell me what you guys think in the comments. Who would be your top wide receiver school that maybe I missed?